Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel today. I'm Calvin and today we are back to our political topic. So our topic today is talking about the rule of empires. So for someone who don't know, the empires is a type of political system who the government or the main government is from a nation, and that nation taking all the nation into their part, which means that the nation that being taken by the main nation will not have their own government and will become a colonies, or we could call them dependencies. So today we're going to talk about how the nation or some nation going to rule their empire. So for much of the 19th and 20th centuries, many European countries invaded other countries around the world and make them become the colonies. And so the country who have many colonies will become a giant nation known as an empire. And that's what all we know about the empires and what is it. Now let's come to how the empires work. So we could say that empires work by a lot of ways. Any nation have a different type of empires. For after all, like the empires is not the things that have to be as same as every nation. Every nation that make other countries become its colonies could make its own style of empires. It didn't have a exactly style of government. So let's talk through some style of government that the empire in the 19th and 20th centuries had. So empires use different systems to keep control in their colonies, and there are three examples for it. The first one is the direct rule or direct rule. So this thing is which means that the ruling nation will going to impose its own system government on the country, which means that when a nation going to invade another country, this nation follows the direct rule style and is will going to make the country in that is invaded follow on of its own government, which means that it has to follow the invader, the invader nation government, which means that when the main nation or the nation who invade the second country or the colonies have to follow every rule that have in the main nation or in the empire government. Okay, that's the first. The second style of empire rule is indirect rule. You guys can see that the direct rule and indirect rule are obviously opposite sides. So in this case, the indirect rule, which means that when like when a nation going to make the other nation or invade the other nation and turn them into the colonies, they still give the colonies or their colonies a part of freedom as long as they follow the things that the main government want, which means that they are just put out the main government and they will going to tell the colonies like, we need you to do this kind of things so that we could take taxes and we could control your citizens better and keep them safe, for example. So after that, if everything is good and the colonies accept all the things that the invader nation ask, so the invader nation, or you could say that the main nation will go in to give the colonies their freedom, which means that as long as they follow things that they swear, or you could say they promise to do, they still can do anything else by themselves. So the last one, the last style of empire government style is the settler rule. The settler rule, which means that the European, for take example, okay? So the Europeans move into the colonies and form their own government, and with no input from locals, which means that they use their own style of government and make it become the main one, but different from the direct rule who make every citizen, or you could say who turn its colonies into a part of its own, and the indirect rule, which means that give the colonies every freedom or many freedom, that as long as it follows some type of stuff that the main nation asks. So the first and the second style of government still give the citizens or the colonies some freedom. The first one, even though not give the freedom as much as the second one, the direct rule still give the colonies some kind of freedom about how to work and about the way they use the rule, which means that like it's just imposed, it's government, but it's not absolutely force everybody to follow 100% of the government. But the settler rule, which means that the Europeans rule when it's become an empire, is different. It's not giving any locals impact on the government, which means that the locals people like indirect rule and indirect rule cannot do anything that the main nation don't want, or you could say that cannot do anything to affect the type of rules that happen in the colonies. So you could say the colonies having a lot of difference, even though indirect rule style of government, they still not have so many difference, but still have some, because they are not force everybody to 100% follows their culture. But for settler rule, or you could say for settler government, they force everybody to follow 100% of their government style, their government rules and the political system. There is no local effect from local colonies into the main government system, and that means the settler rule are unchangeable. Okay, so that's all about those the three examples about the style of rule or the style of government in the empire of 19th and 20th centuries. And we will going to take out some real life nation for the kind of government that I said above. The first one, the direct rule, have an examples like this. The main government in France rule all French colonies, which means that it's make the rule for all French colonies. Okay, about the indirect rule, for example, the British Empire in India, they gave their colonies freedom as long as they follow some of the things that the main nation asked. And the settler rules, the settler rules. So, for example, the British settler in South Africa who set their price and set everything into the local colonies. Okay, so that's all I want to say with you guys today. Thank you for listening, and I think that our video today is very long, so I think it's time for say goodbye and see you next time. Goodbye.